This is Thriveonomics, presented by Thrive Mortgage. Hey there, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Thriveonomics. We are very, very excited that you decided to join us, and I'm really excited about today's guest. We've gotten to know Kyle Draper for the last couple of years or so, and just all around great guy, but we're going to bring him on and talk about what he does, why he's such an expert at it, and how you too can become an expert at what Kyle coaches you on how to do. But before we get to that, I want to bring on Raul Espinoza, my illustrious podcast producer. Hello, Raul.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
It's
I'm
going
doing great. And I'm
good.
pretty excited to interview Kyle today because I've
too.
always seen him and I've always heard him talk. I've always heard his coaching. He's a great guy. Every time I mention him around people, our loan officers, everyone just gets super excited. So
Yeah, everybody knows
I'm
Kyle.
so glad to finally meet him. Not in
Yeah.
person, but, virtually.
And I am glad to have you back because I was rolling solo with our the first episode for season 3,
Oh, that's
and
right, yeah.
fortunately, we had some pre-recorded content that you were able to
Yeah.
just kind of splice in. So
Yeah.
there wasn't a whole lot for me to do, but
Yeah.
man, there's a lot to do, and I really appreciate the job that Raul does for us and
Cool.
making us look slick.
Well, thank you. I actually really enjoy it. That's probably why it looks slick because I just love tinkering with this stuff. It's like just let me off my leash and just give me some equipment and
Yep.
we're
You've
good.
got a gift, dude.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, speaking of gifts, we have a gift for you and our guest today. It is none other than Coach Kyle Draper. Kyle is coming to us from Fort Worth, Texas, from his slick little studio bunker he's got there in his house. And so, Kyle Draper, welcome to Thriveonomics, man.
Gentlemen, it is an
It's
honor.
It is,
Good.
man. It is.
I can't. I know this is a podcast, but just getting to see myself sandwiched in between you guys is this is pretty special.
Yeah, right. Did you see me like quickly sandwich you? I put myself
did.
over.
I like it.
See, told you. He's pretty slick at this. He knows all the tricks of the trade.
Yeah.
Well, Coach Kyle, just if you've never heard that name, you probably will soon. Well, number one, I mean, he's a guest on this podcast and you're listening to it, but
right.
I mean, outside of this podcast, you're probably going to catch his content at some point on social media. Kyle is a social media coach, and I mean, that's probably too simplified a description for what he does, but he basically helps folks in the real estate industry. His primary focus is helping folks in the real estate industry get more comfortable with social media, get more comfortable with video, get more comfortable doing video on social media. So there's a lot that he contributes to the valuable content that your favorite realtor, loan officer, whatever position they happen, director of marketing, and our podcast producer, he does a great job helping folks learn how to kind of get out of their comfort zone, stretch themselves a little bit. And we'll share a story about basically a contest of sorts that Kyle and I orchestrated last summer. That
we need to do another one of those.
Really well. We absolutely do need to do another one of those. Matter of fact, why don't we talk about that after this episode?
Okay.
But anyway, so Coach Kyle, have you always been a social media coach?
Yes, ever since I was a young child. I started out as a MySpace coach, and just kind of progressed my way.
Is this real?
No,
are we really talking about MySpace here?
No.
I was like, whoa, man.
No.
James he was a heavy influencer on Netscape.
You couldn't have paid me enough money to sign up for this on purpose. It was a complete accident, or what I would just call a God thing, because I didn't orchestrate this. I didn't try to do this. I didn't set out to achieve this. My background was church ministry.
Yeah.
And so for about 9 years, I was a youth pastor in Plano, Texas. And at that point, I was a 5th generation pastor. So that was in my blood. That was what my family did. And man, I was really committed to being there forever. And long story short, I just really felt a calling to take the heart of a pastor into the business world, to just be able to serve people in a completely different way of doing things. And so I quit church ministry and did what most people would do, is start a roofing company.
course.
And
Natural progression.
you know,
there.
so just the perfect progression. And my dad had a construction background, and so me, my dad, and my brother, we started a roofing company. And at the same time, which this is horrible, do not do this for anyone listening. This is a horrible way to start a business. I started a new business of which I knew nothing about, which is the first wrong decision. The second wrong decision was we moved to a city where I knew no one. So we moved to Oklahoma, where my wife is from. And so here I am, no idea what I'm doing, no background in this, learning sales, learning marketing, learning social media, and just trying to figure it out. So along that path, I decided that, realtors know all the roofs. And so if I can connect to all the realtors, I'm going to have access to the roofs. And it was through that y'all can't tell. Well, you definitely can't tell on the podcast because I don't know if you can tell the fatness of a person by their voice. but I'm a 6'3", 294-pound man as of this morning, and so I just one day was, but one day I was like, what am I doing? Why am I on people's roofs? This makes no sense for the way God constructed my body. And, I think I was damaging more of the shingles while assessing the damage than actually, helping the situation. So through learning about real estate, through just meeting realtors through roofing, I realized like that was a great transition for me from ministry. It helped me learn a lot about sales and marketing. But then I started a company with a buddy of mine building websites for realtors.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was the designer, the developer. He created this really cool platform that could crank out cool websites for real estate agents that would show the IDX, which is the way we search homes in a really cool way. And then I was the hype man. I was the guy that was out in front, just, being the hugger, the friendly face, the guy that smiled at everybody.
The hype man?
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
I know that's hard to believe.
It's
I'm way more believable as a roofer, but
yeah.
but yeah, so I got to be the hype man for that. And very quickly, as anybody that's done sales realizes, like cold calling sucks. And it's horrible. And I just got tired of calling people and being like, hey, how's your website? Would you like another one? And the answer was typically never call me again. So all I know how to do, this is the only thing I think I've ever done well in my life consistently, which is just pray. Like that's the only thing I know how to do. And so literally I just prayed one day and was like, God, what am I good at? And what do realtors suck at? And I say suck in my prayers. That's who we are together. That's the relationship that we have. And here's what I got. He said, you're a great communicator. You preach for almost a decade, right? Thousands of times. And realtors suck at social media. And so if you will just learn social media, and then guys, here's the nugget for those of you listening, and 1% more than the people in the room, you'll always have something of value to offer. And that was all I needed. And so I booked 5 classes. I didn't know anything about I didn't have a class, but I booked 5. And I knew I was like, I have 4 weeks before this first class, and I just need to learn enough to be able to offer value. And so fast forward, I taught probably 200 of these classes for free across the state of Oklahoma, just to build rapport with realtors, to then be able to sell them websites. And it worked, and it was great. And then one day I just, again, had this realization of like, I don't want to be a website guy.
Yeah.
But, this teaching thing is really cool. I feel like it's leveraging my gifts for who I was created to be. And so now, for almost 5 years ago now, I'm like actually a social media coach and speaker and teacher. And I own a business that we create content for realtors and lenders. It makes no sense that I got here, but maybe that's what makes me really good at what I do, is that I truly wake up every day knowing that I don't belong here, nor deserve to be here. And so I just always try to lead with value and then use that to get people over themselves so that they can show up on social media to create the change that they're longing for in their lives and with their families and in their business.
Yeah. Well, that's cool because I was thinking, like, when you told me you're a pastor, I was like, man, like, how did that happen? Like, from pastor to social media. Yeah, that's a pretty cool journey. I could definitely relate to a few things there, for sure. Just one, finding trying to fit into this because I'm also we talked a little bit before the podcast, and
Yeah.
I have a slightly different background too than mortgage. But we all kind of somehow landed here together. So
Yep.
it's pretty cool. Like, I mean, it's really good to talk to you. And I just love what you were just talking about because it's definitely, I can just relate in so many levels. So,
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, Raul, especially when you find those connections or those commonalities of what you did, what you, Raul, were doing before you joined with Thrive, and also what Coach Kyle's talking about. Like, did you ever envision, Raul, that you'd ever be a big part of the mortgage industry the way
no,
that you are? Did you?
not
I
at
mean,
all.
you didn't know
I didn't
you
know
didn't
anything
know jack
about it.
squat about
Nope.
mortgages, but yet you stepped
Nothing.
in using your skills and your passions, and you learned along the way.
Yeah.
Just like Kyle, I love how you booked the classes before you even had any curriculum built out.
Hmm.
Yep.
That is something that I guarantee you there's a whole bunch of sphincters that tighten up, and people placing
Oof.
themselves who just
Yeah.
listen, placing themselves in that position. Because one of the things that I know that I encounter a lot is when I'm coaching a loan officer, they and we're planning out, like, whether it's realtor events or them doing a presentation for this, that, or the other type of group, they always want to have all the content set
Yeah.
first before they book the
Right.
actual event. I'm
Right.
like, no, do it backwards. Like,
Yeah.
back your way into this, because that will really turn on the creative juices for you. If you know you've got a deadline and you have to be ready for
Mhm.
an
Hmm.
event that's 4 weeks from now,
Yeah.
you're going to buckle down and you're really going to study. Because if you try and perfect
Yeah.
your curriculum, perfect your pitch, perfect your presentation before you start scheduling stuff, it's going to be 6 months before your first
Yeah.
event.
Right. Well, and
So,
that's the in general, right? With talking about social media, most of the struggles that I see with realtors and lenders, and then to the consumers of this podcast, anybody that could own a business of any magnitude in any industry, we overthink the fact that you're already the expert of what you do, right? Like Raul can talk circles around me when it comes to all the things that he knows.
mhm,
So you just open your mouth and I'm going to go, oh my gosh, wow, I never even thought about it like that before. But we overthink it because we
right.
need to be impressive,
Hmm.
and we want people to be like, wow, Kyle is so smart. You know, if we would just open our mouths more often with the things that we're considered the expert of, people would be impressed. We
Right.
just have to stop overthinking it.
Hmm. So, quick question though, to kind of go back on what you're saying, how you booked that before you
Yeah.
kind of, knew. So, what is your thoughts? And there's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious on, the phrase "fake it till you make it."
Yeah.
Like, do you think that you were kind of doing that? Because, well, I'll just kind of let you know that I'm actually a fan of it
Yeah.
if you're willing to put in the work and
Yeah.
the time to actually make it happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, yeah, I've read books, right, that literally talk against fake it till you make it is stupid, right, for whatever their reason. I, like you, I'm a fan of it, but I think the key is the heart behind why we say the phrase, right? My goal was to serve people. My goal wasn't to manipulate people. My goal wasn't to take something from them. It was to create value for them. And so for me, faking it until you make it was like, man, I know I have something to give. I don't necessarily know what it looks like yet, but I think I can get there. And so, yeah, sure. You want me to be the social media expert? Okay, I'll be that. I'm looking around this room and I happen to know more about social media than all of you guys. And so, yes, I guess I am technically the expert of this room.
Right.
And I think it was a couple years of truly faking it until I make it.
Yeah.
Because now I get on big stages. I couldn't have done that 7 years ago.
Right.
And so I am a big fan of fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Because I think we need the attitude and we need the mindset before the action.
Right.
And it takes a little bit of faking to get the action to catch up to the mindset.
Yeah.
So I'm all about it.
There was something, you and I did an interview. It was for one of our high performance coach calls here at Thrive. And this interview was, I want to say, end of January, like right before we kicked off that video challenge. And I asked you a question, and your response I thought was absolutely brilliant. And it totally didn't. I think you just kind of spontaneously came up with that response because you told me later, like I don't even have any recollection of what it said, but it was such a brilliant response. I want to bring it up again. I asked the question, why are you passionate? Why are you so passionate about social media? And you said, I'm not passionate about social media. I'm passionate about what social media allows me to do.
Yeah.
And what is it? Let's continue on that thought.
Yeah.
What is it that you feel social media allows you to do?
Well, for me personally, James, I feel like my life has been a commitment to just helping other people's lives be better, right? I did that as a pastor. I attempted to do that as a roofer. I attempted to do that as a guy that owned a website company. And now I do it as a social media expert. My life motto has always been to leave people better than I find them, right? That whether I ever meet Raul in person, which I'm sure we will at some point, but like my hope, right, is that if the only time in our lives is the time we've spent recording this podcast, I hope Raul can say, man, I feel like a better person because I got to spend time with Kyle Draper. Like that's always been my goal. And so James, I tell people, I just told people this in a class 2 days ago. I hate social media. I hate it. And I don't know how many experts of their field actually hate it, but I hate it. Why? Because most of social media is so fake and phony. Most of social media is all about themselves, right? As a dad of a young daughter, I already can watch my daughter like looking at pictures of herself and go, nope, delete that one, and I don't like that one. And so I already see like what is social media going to do to her as she grows up and becomes a young woman and decides the way she's validated and how the world loves her. And so there's so many things that I freaking hate about social media. But, right, the biggest but is even though all those things are true and all those things exist, this is still the one thing that's available to us where if we choose to use our voice and our influence for good, I can reach and touch a lot of people's lives with the power of social media.
Yeah.
And so that's what I love about it.
Yeah, definitely. That's how it is for me too. Like social media is just like I have like a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
Me personally, I always tell people, like, they'll ask me, "Hey, can I follow you?" I'm like, "Sure." You're gonna be very bored because I literally just I just stalk people on social media. Like I look at what you're doing. My life isn't that exciting. But like it's a love-hate thing. I hate that my daughter's on it. But at the same time, I've made a living off it as well. And so
Sure.
I love it. And I love the way it actually came about. And one of the things actually that I really loved, for instance, this is my age speaking, when you brought up MySpace as a joke, but one of the things I really loved about MySpace is that you could put in that custom code and just really show people,
Yeah.
you know, you could design your whole page and it was just like your
Yeah.
top songs, like your favorite colors, like, and it was such a cool way to meet people and really
Right.
get to know them. And then when Facebook came along, it was just like this very boring, like just they took all the really fun stuff out of social media. And I think like since then, social media has just been taking a lot of the creativity out of it. And I think that now
Yeah.
we're struggling to put creativity back into social media. And so yeah, I definitely have like a love-hate type, you know, relationship as well with social media.
Well, and Raul, what's fascinating is like, look at TikTok, right? TikTok showed up and now they've convinced everybody that like, if you want to be famous, like be silly, be crazy, dance, play pranks on people. Like we've almost like I watch my own content
Mhm.
and go, I'm just a boring guy that's just teaching into a camera.
Right.
But I truly believe that the type of content that I do is going to transcend time,
Yes.
right? Like all the trendy stuff, that's all going to fade in and out.
Mhm.
But like my story and my desire to serve people is never going to go out of style, right? And
Right.
so people will be able to find my videos 20 years from now,
Yeah.
and there will be a layer of truth and a layer of encouragement and positivity
Yeah.
that will always follow. And that's what I want to encourage other small business owners or people in sales to really think about
Yeah.
is guys, what are we doing that the term we would know is evergreen,
Right.
Mhm.
Well, look what we're doing
that's
now.
always, so
Yeah, look what we're doing now though. We're podcasting. We're kind of back to
right,
radio to I mean these are timeless media that, I mean
right,
it can be, a really young girl dancing in front of the camera, or it could be like timeless content like
right.
podcasting, things like that that's never really going to go away.
And I think because I also don't want to I don't want this to turn into like crapping on people on TikTok, because that's
Mm-mm.
not what this is about.
No, not at all.
I think we have to decide, do you want to be famous or do you want to make an impact? And not to say that making an
There you go.
impact can't also make you famous,
Right.
because I believe it can. And if you just want to be famous, I'm not telling you you're a bad person or you're wrong. But I think a lot of like the consumers out there that are in sales or have a small business, they just think, well, for social media, right, to work, I just need a lot of followers.
Right.
When I'm teaching realtors, man, with 200 Facebook friends, you could sell more houses than you've ever sold
Right.
in your life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If those 200 people are bought into you,
Yeah.
and you can overcome the fact that you're not going to wake up tomorrow with 10,000 followers. And if you're okay with that, you're going to
Yeah.
make an impact in people's lives.
Right.
But man, social media has perverted a ton of the ways that we just look at things.
Right.
And,
But
and so,
yeah, and it's really not to be negative. It's really just I feel, because I do coaching as well, and I think a lot of people have that expectation of like, well, I can't see myself as being that star on, and it's like you don't have to.
right.
It's definitely like you said, you could have 200 solid followers that'll do more for you than 200,000.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
One of the things that happened to you recently that I followed just kind of the whole episode was the some of the exchanges that you had with folks who were catching your content on TikTok,
Yeah.
and just and how you kind of responded by saying, "I'm getting off of TikTok for a while
Yeah.
because I'm not a fan of the negativity." It's not that you were getting shouted down; it's just that I mean that's when you look at social media, that is the number one biggest fear that I think a lot of people have is, what if I get like shamed
Yeah.
or called out for no good reason, or somebody insults me,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things that is such a it kind of, I mean, I hate to say it comes with the territory, but it really does. And
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. Some people just want to watch the world burn, and
Mhm.
they don't have, and they use the keyboard as their way to just vent against anybody and anything.
Yeah.
And you kind of fell victim to that
Mhm.
with some of the people that were commenting on some of your TikTok videos. So how did you kind of work your way through that? Because I think you're back on TikTok now, aren't you?
No.
Oh, you're still off of it?
No,
Okay.
so this is such an interesting conversation, though, because yes, I think, James, first of all, we have to understand that when we choose to show up online, we're giving people it's fair game for idiots to say whatever they want about whoever they want, and we have to know, right, that your negativity is truly the fact that your life may not be where you want it to be, more so than anything that I've ever done. But James, I just had to like I the full backstory. I decided that I was going to go hard on TikTok for about 90 days to 120 days.
Mhm.
I did over 100 videos in that short amount of time, and I was just beginning to notice that I say a lot of negative comments, right? A lot compared to The Rock? No, not a lot. But to the uber positive guy that never has bad things said about him, at least not to my face, it
Mhm.
was a lot for me. And so I just had to come to this moment of like, okay, there's tons of social media opportunities out there. Do I feel like I have to be on TikTok to be successful? And the answer that I gave myself was no. And so then I thought, well, as a grown man, then why are you just choosing to let this negativity affect your life? Because
Mhm.
for me, as the uber positive guy, I have to be very intentional about what I let in. I don't watch the news. I don't consume negative content because I can't be your cheerleader while I'm consuming a bunch of negative content, right? The rest of the
Mhm.
world's already consuming all of that. So if I'm going to be set apart and different, I have to actually do something that's set apart and different.
Yeah.
And so I ultimately decided I don't need TikTok to be good at what I do. But the cool part, James, was you could still go to my TikTok right now,
Mhm.
and there's over 100 videos that exist there. So if
Mhm.
somebody found me there, I still have a better presence than most people do
Sure.
because you can go watch videos, get an idea of who I am, right? You can still then feed to my Instagram and YouTube from there. And so I'm still better off than the person that's like, screw TikTok, TikTok's stupid, I'm never doing it. I didn't want to be that person. But I did realize through giving it 4 months of energy that it just wasn't my jam. And
Mhm.
I realized that, man, I
Yeah.
could do more with YouTube. I can do more with Facebook. I can
Yeah.
do more with Instagram.
Yeah. I agree with that too, because well, I love YouTube, and I feel like in in this industry that we're in, I feel like YouTube's almost one of the best platforms for us because it's like how do you talk about well, let's say regarding mortgage, right? How do you talk about an FHA loan in like the click rate, like the bounce off rate on Facebook is like 8 seconds. Like how do you get someone's attention in 8 seconds and have them watch something like that? And so I also feel like just because there's 10 social media platforms doesn't mean that you have to be on all 10 of them. And I know that's the general kind of guidance that a lot of people give you. Excuse me, sorry. But I actually don't believe. I mean, I also believe like if you're passionate about TikTok, then be on TikTok because then you're going to be really good at TikTok.
Yeah.
But I also think that if you don't feel comfortable with TikTok, you don't have to be. Because I think, like we have like this we're being told that like we have to go viral and we have to like hit these big numbers and followers and all that. And I just don't think that's true. I just think that if you can find your core audience, then do it. And to find that core audience, you have to find, the platform that I think works best for you
Right.
because there's just so many people on social media and you can't possibly capture everybody's attention at all times. You just can't.
Yeah.
And then could you even do the work? Like if I wanted to find as many clients as I can, I can't. I can't even work on that many clients. So
Right.
Mhm.
you got to also think about it that way too, is like, just be on the social media platforms that you're actually passionate about, and it'll be easier for you to, that's how I get ideas, right? Like if I want to be on TikTok, well then I need to be on TikTok on my downtime, seeing what is going on, like with trends and things like that, in order to know what to post.
Yeah.
And if that's just not in you, then find
But
out what is.
here's the struggle. And I think this is what's unique for me having been the pastor
Mhm.
because I can pastor people through the struggle without calling it that and making it weird to people. What you just said is absolutely true. But why that's not actually happening for people is they seek validation from social media
Yes.
as opposed to using it as a tool. If we would all just go, social media is an unbelievable tool. If we just understand what we're trying to accomplish, create, KPIs, key performance indicators around that, it's an amazing tool. But the moment we let social media take us to, I'm a good or not good or bad person because of what social media does or doesn't do for me, or I'm validated in what I do for a living based on how many followers I have, now we're all failing. We're all going to lose the social media battle when we let it be about that. And that is the hardest thing that I fight through working with realtors and lenders is they're like, well, how do I get to 1,000 followers? Why do you need that? You can't work with 1,000 people. You can't sell 1,000 houses. You can't do 1,000 loans. So why do you need 1,000 people?
Right.
And that's the part that if I could ever crack that code, I'd be very rich and our world would be just a healthier place.
Yeah.
I haven't yet, and I'm still working on it. So any listeners that have advice, I'll happily receive it.
That is one of my least favorite logical fallacies that anyone can use in the comment threads of any post is, oh, go enjoy your life with your 102 followers. It's like, why are you discounting the number of followers? I realize that there's a certain level of credibility to having that blue check mark on Twitter, but does that necessarily negate the wisdom of what that person may be able to contribute to the conversation? I think that is the dumbest argument. And I mean, it's kind of like using a straw man argument in debate. It's like, it's one of those things where it's just like, is that really your best counter to this very salient point that someone is making?
And it just goes to the insecurity of those people.
It does.
Right? The minute I have to crap on you, to feel good about myself is an indicator of me, not you at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Like,
I was going to transition to a different topic.
Okay, cool. Yeah, be the last little thought.
Okay.
I was like, because I love YouTube, and that's like my, that's my thing. And I was on there, and I've been on there for years, and I watch a ton of YouTube, too much probably. And the funny thing is, I just recently realized that like there's a comment. Not that I realize it, but it's just it never occurred to me that there's a comment section, and that's one of the things I love about YouTube is just. It's not very apparent, the comment section, and so you kind of avoid a lot of those things, and so it's really cool because I feel like it's just kind of a cool way to be more involved and engage in the content and less in the interactions of what the content's about, because I'm a true believer in just like watching, like what I was saying, like how do you think of content, right? Like you got to be watching this stuff in order to know what you want to do, and so I love to be on YouTube and be able to watch a video that inspires me to go make a video. And then instead of, being in the comments arguing, it's like you're actually out, like after you're done, you click off, you're out making content. And that's one of the things that I love. And I just really highly recommend that for people. Like most of the people in the comments are just people who watch stuff and get nothing from it. And then just kind of spew their stuff on people, and it's just like, we shouldn't listen to those things anyways, like we need to just get the positive ones out and the critical ones out, and then from there just move on and make content.
And the reality is those people, there's nobody, like there's no content out there that they're saying nice things to. They're only there to spew their negativity and hateful words. So I have to remind myself, like, Kyle, what that guy said, it's not about you. I know you're hurting from it. I'm hurting from it, but it's about like, if I can switch it and go, man, I'm gonna pray for that guy because his life is the one that's messed up and in shambles. And the only way he knows to have an outlet is to put that on other people. And it's, it's easy to say on a podcast and people go, wow, that's so good. But man, it's hard in real life because we're human beings that we want people to like us. And for anybody, can I just say this? And then James, please change the subject. Like,
I know
if I can just be on a soapbox for a moment, all of these freaking influencers out there that are like, you just can't care what people think about you. I don't care what people think about me. You're freaking liars. You're freaking liars. We have so many of these influencers that are telling people to stop caring what people think about you. And that's not possible. We're human beings. Now, I can do a better job of keeping some of that stuff away. But at the end of the day, we're beings created to want to be loved.
Right.
And so that's just a part of the game. And so I just hate watching the people that are like, man, you just got to turn that off. Like we're a water faucet.
Yeah.
That we can just completely control the temp of. That's just not, that's like, we're a little bit more complex than that. So James, please get me away from this.
Well, now that we have sufficiently done an excellent job of scaring everybody off of social media, how does somebody get started on social media? I mean, obviously you focus on the real estate industry,
Yeah.
and the real estate industry loves you for it because we definitely need the help. So, but let's talk to not everybody in our
Yeah.
audience is just in the mortgage industry or just a realtor. So let's talk about like, how would you coach somebody that is like in insurance, maybe like working for an insurance agency, or somebody that's in construction. Well, okay, let me get away from real estate. Somebody that's like an attorney. We'll go there. Like, what would be your advice to them about how they can get going on social media? What are some of the first questions you're going to be asking them? Let's start there. And then what's some of the coaching and some of the advice that you're going to be passing along to them?
Yeah. So the most important question for me to ask them is, first of all, how old is your ideal client? That answer tells me right away what platforms they need to be on. Right. So if we're talking to someone that like, or so for example, like a kid's, like an orthodontist, right? That they work with, young kids on their teeth, teenagers with their braces. And so I would be fascinated with like, what could a really good TikTok strategy do with an orthodontist company? Because that's where those people are. Right. And those kids are young enough that their parents are young enough that their parents are probably spending a little bit of time at least watching TikToks. Like my wife, she watches TikTok every day, but she's never post one, and she never will.
Right.
Because there's no need for that for her. Right. So I would be very intrigued by that. For somebody that says, well, man, we do, we work with seniors and we do something with seniors. And so we're talking about like a 60 something and up crowd. Then I would be looking at them and going, hey, this is going to sound crazy, but data says that 50% of 75-year-olds and up watch YouTube once a week. And so Raul's off in the background going like, yeah, YouTube, right? And so there's a huge crowd of the older folks that are hanging out on YouTube, watching YouTube videos, trying to figure out how to do stuff through YouTube. And so the age demographic is so valuable in helping us not think, well, I got to be everywhere. So I need to be on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn and YouTube and Twitter. And so the age is super valuable. Beyond that, James, instantly go to video. Video is the number one thing. And everybody that knows me, right, they're like, here we go. Here goes Kyle on his freaking video roll.
Hey, I'll back you up, man.
Because guys, here's what's fascinating. So James, we've only been in person together at one event.
3 times.
Was it a couple events? I've never met Raul.
Nope.
The beauty of what we're doing right now, I know this is a podcast recording, but we can see each other on video. And so like when I meet Raul for the first time, we're going to bro hug, right? We're not going to shake hands like strangers that are meeting for the first time. Yeah. I should just stop, because the fact that we can bro hug in our first physical encounter speaks to the power and the influence of video. And even before this, right, Raul had said, man, I've seen some of Kyle's videos. So like you already had a sense of who I was, what I'm about, the energy that would be in this podcast because of the content you were able to consume. And so for listeners, if you are in sales, if you are considering starting a small business, get your freaking butts on camera.
Yeah.
You got to be there. And you've got to just understand that when you're speaking the right language, the right people are going to be attracted to you. The wrong people won't. And let's be okay with that, because I can't serve everybody in my industry.
Right.
And so I'm on camera every day in some capacity, because then I'm going to be done. I'm at the end of my video rant. But guys, the reason video is so powerful, beyond what I already said, is it's the only form of marketing that can be duplicated into all the other forms of marketing.
Right.
We can transcribe this podcast and turn it into a blog. Y'all could
Mhm.
transcribe 3
Yeah.
seasons of this podcast, and now you've got a Thrivenomics book,
Right.
and the two of you are authors, and you never wrote a single word.
Or
Right?
read a
It's the
book.
world. It's the world. I want to write a book too. Right? It's the world we live in, and so we can take this long content and turn it into short content. Like, it's just people that refuse to get on video. They have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, they're cutting an arm off.
Mhm.
They're cutting their own arm off, and then wondering why they're not achieving at the same level of other people,
Right.
because you're not even giving yourself a chance, because you're balking at the most valuable form of media on the planet.
Right. It's also, again, like, it's timeless media, right? It's like
Yeah.
we're going back to video or back to television. You know, it's something that's never gonna go away. Like, we're back at it again. Like, you know, you can scroll down Facebook and you'll see like the 3D pictures, and you have these really cool pieces of content. Those are gonna go away. Video is not gonna go away. Audio is never gonna go away. They're
Right.
just like the fundamentals of communication. And so we can, like you said, transcribe these things into different either platforms or outlets. And
Right.
so that's just something that's just, you know, I always say that it's like, if you're arguing against social media, then it's just like, you just don't want to do it. It's just, for me, it's a little crazy because it's like it's just what is being done. So it's like we could either fight against it or we can just do it, because it's not going to change. Like, video is never going to change. It used to be black and white TVs, and now it's on TikTok. Video is never gonna. It's always gonna be here no matter what. So we just
Well, and
leave that up.
it's no different, right? Like, look at diets. We can throw out the word keto, and
Mhm.
1,000 people are going to be like, "Yes, amazing! I lost 100 pounds," and then another 1,000 people are going to be like, "That's a joke. Keto's a joke."
Right.
It's we could throw out another one, right? Like, let's just go low carb, and yes, it's amazing. Oh, it's horrible, right? Paleo. Oh, amazing. No, it's horrible. It works if you work it,
Right.
right? It works if you work it. And I look at social media the same way. There's too much proof out there
Yeah.
of the value that this is bringing to the table. So
Yep.
for you to say, it's just not for me, guys, if I can just be honest, as the loving, fun, positive pastor guy, you are being so ignorant to what's available to you if you're choosing to say no to this, because it costs nothing.
Right.
There's just thinking back on what you just been saying, it makes me think back to the video challenge that we did here with a whole ton of our loan officers here at Thrive. I mean, I think we started with 26, 27 people that were committed to doing 31 days in the month of August, 31 days committed to doing one video per day for the entire month of August.
Yep.
And out of the 26 or 27 who started, I think we had 14 that actually finished and did a video every single day. I was actually surprised that we didn't have a greater attrition rate than that.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of the 14 that did it. One of the 14 had a baby in the month of August, and they still managed to crank out one video per day. I'm not going to tell you the video that they showed like the day of the baby's birth, but I mean, it was very PG. But anyway, it was just amazing to me to see the response. And what was even more amazing was going and looking at the video that they recorded on day 1 versus the video they recorded on day 31, and night and day. Absolutely. I mean, just all that growth, because one of the things that, and I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way that it couldn't. And one of the things that cracks me up, I do a lot of video here at Thrive. I'm either whether pre-recorded stuff or doing live coaching calls that you've been a part of, a few of those. And one of the things that always cracks me up every time I'm coaching somebody on, hey, let's get a little bit more comfortable on doing video. Let's get a little bit more. And I see you taking that little selfie post right there. Let me smile big for it.
I know. I totally missed that, man.
I'll do.
Yeah,
Here, I'll do it. Here, I'll do it.
Grab another one with Roll. But
so, hold on, James, before you finish. For listeners, right? I'm taking a selfie right now because everybody doesn't know what to post for content. And so my big thing is everything is content, right? So the picture that I'm taking, are we ready?
1, 2, 3, go.
So this is content. I'm going to put it in my stories, right? Love hanging out on Thriveonomics, and that's content. So sorry,
There you go.
James, I was a distraction, and I'm
No,
done.
I'm still tracking with what I was going to finish. So I'll just wrap it up by saying this. I crack up every single time I coach somebody on wanting to do more video, or the need for them to do more video, and their comment is always, or not always, but 90% of the time, I get this as a response. Yeah, but I'm not like you. You're just a natural at it,
Mm.
and
I mean,
it
that's
always
true.
makes me laugh.
You are as gifted as
not.
I've ever seen.
I'm not. I mean, but that's the thing, is that I struggled. Like, growing up, I had a fear, a debilitating fear of speaking in front of an audience. I did it when I had to because it was expected. But so I did it, but I didn't enjoy it at all.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's still times when I don't do it because I get a whole lot of satisfaction out of it. I do it because I enjoy the engagement, and I
Yeah.
enjoy talking with folks, and I enjoy interacting with, if I happen to be on a stage, I enjoy interacting with the audience. But I would really, and I think that this goes back to my days as a teacher, where I really enjoyed the engagement with the students. I didn't want to stand up there and be the
Mhm.
sage on the stage and just lecture at them for an entire 55-minute class.
Right.
That I would have been bored. I would have been bored being the one giving the lecture. And so if I'm bored giving the lecture, I know they sure as heck were going to be bored sitting in a chair listening to some old white guy drone on for 55 minutes. So I didn't want to do that. So I developed the knack for engaging with the audience on a personal level, asking them questions, letting them talk and offer their feedback, and then
Mhm.
facilitating a discussion with everybody in the room. It makes it so much more enjoyable an experience. And so when I coach people on how to do video, obviously they don't have that live audience component to it, but pretend like you do.
Right.
Pretend that the
Right.
camera is a client or a best friend, and you're just having a conversation with that person, and talk about what you know. Talk about what are the
Mhm.
most frequently asked questions in your business,
Yeah.
and give answers to that. And so the more that I coach people into experiencing that, and specifically with that video challenge, going 31 days doing video, like we were talking about, the difference between day 1 and day 31 was night and day. And I was able to demonstrate that progression, and go back and show them. I was like, okay,
Right.
let's look at the videos you doing in the first week compared to the last week. Do you see a difference in you? And we're like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, like I wasn't stumbling on my words.
Mhm.
I wasn't saying and as much as I was before. It was
Yeah.
it's remarkable when you're able to show them that kind of progress and say, "Look, this is
Yeah.
only after 31 days. Imagine being able to do this after 12 months."
Well, and so now let's make this practical to people. So
Yeah.
why? Because when we've done these challenges, people's first thought is, so I need to do video every day, and I go, no, but we're going to work this muscle faster than what most people do. Right? Look at most lenders. Maybe they do a video a week, so it takes them 31 weeks to do what we did in 31 days. For
Mhm.
anyone doing it half of that, it takes them 62 weeks, which for those of you that aren't mathematicians like myself, I think that's over a year, right? So it's going to take you over a year to get as comfortable as we got in 31 days, to grow as much as we did in 31 days, to get used to looking in the camera as much as we did in 31 days. So all we're doing in these challenges is compounding time so that we can get you comfortable way, 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 way faster than if you're just like, okay, I'll start doing video. And man, you'll never get there because sucking for a year, man, that's hard. But sucking for 14 days to then start feeling better and having 2 weeks of good stuff, man, that's the way to go. That's why I love these challenges so much.
Yeah. And can I also I just want to quickly add something to that too. I think also everybody focuses on like, oh man, I don't like my voice. I don't want to do this. I'm not in my comfort zone. But at the
Well,
same
listen.
time, it's like when you're on any platform really, I think like we're just thinking about ourselves and how we come across, and we're not thinking about how people see us. And so if you look at all the content that's out there, like man, people don't care about a lot of these things, and they just want to see content while they're, waiting in line somewhere, and they're just scrolling through their feed. They
Right.
want to see these things. And so I think that there's just so many things. Like, a lot of times we'll do things like these podcasts, right? And I'll like, oh man, I hit the wrong button, or I see, I made the wrong switch. And then I'll go and like literally nobody notices this stuff whenever they're viewing it. Like, oh
No.
man, like they, like Kyle should be on the right side and not in the middle. We're like our biggest critics. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like, people just will not notice these things. They don't see how uncomfortable you are on video, or your voice. They don't, the people who, obviously want, that are there for, good reasons, like, they don't care, but they will never notice these things. And so
Most people will look right through it.
they'll look right through it.
Case
And
in point, yesterday I was speaking in Fort Worth, and I took a picture of the building. Again, content, simple content. I took a picture of a building. Whoa, creativity at
Yeah.
its finest,
Yeah.
right? And so then I typed words, loved speaking at blah, blah, blah for the very first time. Well, I spelled speaking like UPA4ING, right? I mean, it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
So I
Don't play
caught
Wordle.
it. I caught it later. Actually, I do Wordle.
I do
And
Wordle.
I already got the one for this morning in 3 tries.
Attaboy. Yeah.
So in your
I
freaking
hit it in
face,
3.
James Duncan. You already did it in 3 too?
Yep.
Dang it. One day I'll be better than you at something. But so I caught it, and I caught it after the fact. So all I did, I didn't delete it. I screenshotted it. And then my next story was, hooked on phonics didn't work for me. And I corrected it in my next story.
Yeah.
I got one comment from someone that said, I noticed.
Yeah.
I got 7 or 8 that said, I never even noticed.
Yeah.
Because they know what I do for a living, right? So they just saw the way our brain works. They just saw the attempt at the word speaking and just assumed it was speaking and kept going.
Yeah.
No one has enough time to think about us the way we've convinced ourselves they're thinking about us, because we're too selfish thinking about ourselves.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about what you look like in this video. I'm too worried about, like, how does my part look?
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
in the moment we realize that,
Yeah.
this gets so much easier to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because we let that go.
Right.
Somebody I know long ago said to that exact comment that Raul just brought up, I don't like the way I look and sound on video. He shared something that I'll never forget, and it's what I share every single time. Well, how you look and sound on video, guess what? That's how you look and sound in real life too.
Yeah.
So if somebody online at the grocery store turns around and says, "What do you do for a living?" Are you going to turn around and run?
Yes, that's
Are
what I
you
do.
not going to talk to them?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I do this, that, or the other. What do you
Yeah.
do? You're going to engage in a conversation?
James is so good. I love to tell realtors and lenders, if someone called you right now and said, "Hey, this is crazy. I need to buy a house. I have 10 minutes to talk, and I need to talk in 10 minutes. Can you meet me at Starbucks in 10 minutes?" If you can, you're going to get there, and you're going to be great at it. You're not going to be like, "Well, I usually need a couple days to prep, and I want to prepare note cards so that we have good talking points." We make up all this weirdness that never exists if we go to coffee with somebody.
Right.
It never exists.
No.
Right? You and I are going to go to coffee. I'm not bringing in note cards because I'm like, well, what if we run out of things to talk about? What if I can't steer the conversation the right way? No, we just walk in and have coffee with our friends. And so what this is revealing for me, James, is that the reason a lot of people struggle with video is, one, the things we've already said, but it's also they're trying to do video content that's going to lead to sell. They're trying to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if I go meet y'all for coffee and my intent is to sell you something, how awkward is that coffee? Right. When I'm trying to, open up my trench coat and I'm like, pick what multi-level marketing company you'd love for me to talk to you about today.
Yeah.
That's what makes people think they're bad at videos, because everything is about, how do I get a transaction today?
Yes.
What can I say to get Raul or James to say yes? Instead of, what can I say to create value for Raul and James that, when done enough, is going to result in opportunity for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key, I think.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I can't follow up with anything because that's exactly what it is. Yeah,
I would
that's it.
drop this mic
Mic
if
drop,
it
yeah.
wasn't connected to a boom stand.
Yeah, if it wasn't hooked in, I've got 3 of them here. I would drop all 3 of them.
Yeah.
But okay, so on that note, like, I think that we've gotten so much great, just pure gold in terms of that's going to be really, really
This
beneficial to
episode is
somebody.
going to crush Phil's.
Gonna
It's
crush.
gonna
Crush it.
crush.
Yeah, you just stepped it up. Like,
Somebody tell
a couple-
Treadwell that I'm coming for him.
But that's going to be your quote graphic, by the way. Somebody tell Treadwell I'm coming for him. If you don't know who we're talking about, go back to season 2 and listen to episode 2
No,
of season 2.
don't listen to it.
And
Because
after
that's
you're done
gonna-
with this one, and after you give it a 5-star rating and leave comments about the greatest podcast episode ever. And
don't go back and watch that or listen to it, because it'll hurt my chances to win.
but it'll increase our,
See, we just use my episode
listenership.
to promote Phil's. Gosh dang it.
That was the whole point of this.
His reverse psychology is working, my friend.
Ugh.
He's laughing all the way to the all the way to the top of the leaderboard. Well, yeah, I was taking some notes while we were talking, just grabbing timestamps of like really significant nuggets that I want to pull out later. And I will say this, I came up with about twice as many in this podcast than I did in Phil's. So
Dang.
I'm not even saying his name again. So
okay. Well, anyway, so if somebody wants to follow you, reach out to you, engage with some coaching with you, what are the best ways for folks to find you?
I am Coach Kyle Draper on all social platforms. My website's kyledraper.com. And gosh, from either of those places, James, they will get more information than they will ever care to have about me.
Fantastic. Cool stuff. So at Kyle Draper or at Coach Kyle Draper on any platform, and you'll find him.
That's it.
And then go look at his TikTok videos and make fun of him.
Yeah,
That's
'Cause
right.
he loves it when people do that.
That's what I'm gonna do.
And
today.
I don't even have the app on my phone anymore, so I'll never see them. So in your
Even better, he'll
faces.
never know it. He'll never know. that it
So
was you.
go be a horrible human and be negative to a really friendly person that wants your life to be better.
There you go.
Freaking jerk.
That right there. That's your quote graphic for this episode. There you go. Well, Coach, absolutely loved having you on. It's been a pleasure getting to know you over the last couple of years. You're a solid human
Likewise.
being, and love the fact that Thrive Mortgage is connected to you. Love the fact that you are a coach to so many of our loan officers, and that you've been a huge benefit to us and our community. And we love you and love what you put out there. So
I love you guys. Thanks for
All right,
having
man.
me.
Yeah. It
Absolutely.
was a lot of fun.
this was a fun episode.
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
folks. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in and listening, and we will be back again probably in another couple of weeks with the next episode of Thrivenomics. So make sure that you are subscribing to this program and on whatever platform. Sorry, I couldn't remember what the word program was, but make sure that you're subscribing to the show on whatever platform you listen to us. And if your platform allows for you to leave reviews and comments about the show, we would love it if you would give us a review. Hit the 5-star button. I mean, if you don't want to give us 5 stars, then reach out to us and tell us what we can do better, or just keep it to yourself. And but anyway, we'd love to hear from you. And if you ever have any ideas about future topics or future guests that you'd love to see us interview, let us know. Just hit us up at thrivenomics@thrivemortgage.com. And with that being said, on behalf of myself and Raul Espinoza, I'm going to sign off and hope you all have a great rest of your day. Talk to you later, boys. Bye. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. The title sponsor for Thrivenomics is Thrive Mortgage. Licensed in multiple states across the U.S., Thrive Mortgage employs the best professionals, equipped with leading technology and the most efficient process to deliver a legendary lending experience. For more information about how we can serve you, or to find a local Thrive Mortgage professional in your area, please visit us at thrivemortgage.com. You can also contact us directly via email at thriveonomics@thrivemortgage.com. Thrive Mortgage is an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 268552.